Now, these people who didn't want to see a black man in it were happy to see a dragon fly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Steve Toussaint has spoken out about his abuse while starring in House of the Dragon.
A director that I worked with in Australia put something on social media saying, hey, Steve Toussaint's great. Somebody responded by saying Steve Toussaint is an N-word.
As he is a black man in a fantasy show.
I'm not an expert in racial abuse and discrimination. I'm just very experienced at receiving it.
Steve Toussaint plays Lord Corlys Velaryon in House of the Dragon.
History does not remember blood. It remembers names.
Portraying one of the richest characters the series has ever known, commanding the Valyrian fleet.
The Triarchy have been routed. The narrow sea is ours.
However, some fans of the series were angry at his casting.
And then, of course, there were pictures of me and a drawing of Corlys and saying, really? Should it be this guy?
And he awoke to crazy responses.
A director that I worked with in Australia put something on social media saying, hey, Steve Toussaint's great. Somebody responded by saying Steve Toussaint is an N-word.
Making him feel uncomfortable.
That was the first thing I saw. I was like, oh my God, this is the world that we live in?
Steve Toussaint couldn't understand why people were mad about a fictional world.
When I watch a show, which is predominantly white, I don't just go, well, they're white, they don't mean anything to me.
Touching on his own experiences watching sci-fi growing up.
When I was a child, we watched sci-fi movies. There were very few black people in them. And me and my friends used to joke and sort of go, that's the future, where are we? What are they going to do to us?
Fans began to message the star directly.
As some people have, get in contact with me on my timeline and tell me how much you don't want to be in it. Then there's something wrong with your life.
Making a solid point.
Now, these people who didn't want to see a black man in it were happy to see a dragon fly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
In the show, Corlys has daughters with Princess Rhaenys, creating daughters of both black and white heritage and furthering diversity.
The master of complaints.
Enough!
Fans have loved this and have come to his defense.
Suddenly, I'm doing this show, and there are people of color, and not just black people, but who are sort of contacting me saying, it's so good to have you.
Because often when black people are cast in period dramas, it's usually typecast.
Yeah, I get messages on Instagram and stuff like that, people saying, thank you so much for being there. It's so important for us to see somebody put in a position of power as well, as opposed to a slave or whatever.
The actor has come to be loved and supported around the world.
I think history is on the side of those of us who want to have an inclusive world.
I'm Markndrew, follow for more.